Alright, in this video we are going to be doing something a little bit different than what I normally do. Instead of just fighting in PvP or reporting news going on in GPO, we're going to be just discussing our thoughts on something. Or, I mean, things we want added, which actually, now that I think about it, is not very different than what I normally do. But regardless, we're going to get straight into it. We are discussing devil fruits that, in my opinion, need to be added to Grand Peace Online. Obviously, need might be a stretch. They're just ones that I think a lot of people would want to see. Well, I guess not all of these a lot of people would want to see, but like half of them I'd say a lot of people want to see, and the others are like kind of my opinion. So we got a total of 4 fruits on this list, and we're gonna start off now with the Soru no Mi, or I think the Soul fruit, which is Big Mom's fruit in One Piece. And if you don't know what it does, it allows you to take the soul of anybody who is feared by you and imbue it into either objects or just do nothing with it at all and pretty much kill them. The reason that this fruit is cool is because Big Mom, the user for this fruit, she imbues it into objects and she fights with those objects. Like, she has a fireball with a soul in it and a thundercloud with a soul in it, and her weapon and her hat or whatever have souls imbued to them, making them stronger, giving them personalities, kind of letting her use fire and lightning as weapons because now they can act for her. And just, they could handle it in 2 different ways. They could either give you like a kit of your own, like you know, it's soul based. You steal someone's soul and like you could fire it back or something like that, or they could handle it exactly how it was handled in the anime and literally just give you, you know, Big Mom's fireball and lightning soul items, as well as being able to, you know, do some soul based moves like take somebody's soul and it'll like debuff them, something like that. Again, this fruit would be a little bit hard to pull off. It is definitely not your average everyday fruit, so it would be a little different. But it would definitely be really nice to see as like a legendary paramecia, you know, being added. Again, is just a very interesting fruit, and the fact that a Yonko uses it, I think you could say any Yonko fruit should be added. Yeah, especially the fact that it's a Yonko fruit definitely makes it a desirable one. The next one we're gonna do is the Hana no Mi, which I think it might be flower fruit. And if you don't know who this belongs to, it belongs to a Straw Hat, and it's Nico Robin. And what it does is it allows you to summon your limbs or any body part anywhere. Or like, it's within a radius, but anywhere. You can multiply, you can give yourself 20 hands, you could put a million feet in the air and stomp on people, which is actually something she does. You can pretty much do whatever you want. She mainly uses it to subdue people or to, you know, just set them up somewhere so she can hit real hard. But I feel like it would be very interesting to use and actually pretty nice. And the moves are not, you know, very difficult to do. You could give her a grab move where she puts somebody in a chokehold with a bunch of limbs. Her ult could be that giant foot stomp where she summons 2 huge feet and stomps down. She could summon a bunch of hands that would work similarly to gravity fields. They'd grab at you and slow you down as well as do damage. There's honestly a plethora of ideas that you could do for this fruit. It's really easy. You could have a move that's similar to a grab. It has a short AoE, but it's very ranged, and it could slow people down or just keep them in stun like a combo starter. There's a bunch of things you could do with this, so I'm really not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna continue expanding on all the different moves you could do, but it would be a really cool fruit to have, considering how you know, it's a main character in the story and their fruit isn't in it. I think it's the only Straw Hat whose fruit isn't in it, I mean, except for Chopper, because he has the human fruit, which honestly I don't think anybody cares to see. It's not that interesting. But yeah, it is definitely a cool fruit. I would love to see it as like probably an epic fruit, maybe a rare, who knows, but it's definitely not worth a legendary or mythical title, in my opinion at least. I would love to see it as an epic though. Could definitely make for a very interesting one, or again, even a rare, but I feel like you could do more with it if it was an epic, you know, give it more skills, make them better. And I would just like to see this as an actual good fruit and not, you know, one that can be cast aside as like a rare. The next fruit I want to cover is Kaidos Fruit, which I don't know what they're gonna name this, so spoiler warning right now if you're, you know, don't read the manga or whatever, but I think it's the fish fruit model dragon. Yeah, that's the name of the devil fruit. And it's Kaidos Fruit, and it's a mythical zoan that allows him to transform into a dragon that can shoot fireballs, and obviously it's huge. This would be a really, really cool fruit to have, and a bunch of One Piece games have already added it. You know, it's a really cool fruit. It's a fan favorite. The hybrid form is really cool. The full beast form is really cool. Being able to shoot fireballs, fly, claw things. It's all really, really, really cool. You could do something where the ult is like one giant fire beam. You could do a move where they charge and scratch. You could do a move where you can just shoot a flurry of fireballs. You could do a move where you charge in with your body. You could have a half form specific move that just like it works similarly to maybe like to Kai or something. You know, some defense upped move. Honestly, you could do so much again with this. You're a dragon. It's really not that difficult to figure out. So yeah, also I think you can summon lightning bolts with it. I read that on the wiki somewhere. It's like you can summon lightning bolts or some crazy something like that. Regardless, it would be cool to see that. Anyways, that's really all I have to say about Kaido. It would add another mythical fruit, which I know is kind of a good and a bad thing, because another mythical fruit means insane trades. It'd be hard to get, but once you have it, that'd be pretty cool. Considering the fact there's only 2 mythicals, I wouldn't be bad at it. I feel like it also has to be a mythical fruit. The name of its fruit is a mythical zoan, so you kind of got to do it. But anyway, yeah, Kaidos Fruit. Would love, love, love to see that. And the last but not least, probably the most obvious one on this entire list, the Ope no Mi Laws Fruit. Now, the reason I kind of save this for last is because I don't really know how they would do this. I think a lot of One Piece games, a lot of games in general, that have this skill set in it, they execute it either very poorly or very awkwardly, or it's just there's 1,000,001 ways you could execute it. Because if you don't know, what this fruit does is you create a room, and in that room you pretty much control reality, right? We've seen him do things to where like he summon lightning, he could cut mountains in half, send things flying, cut people's hearts out without killing them, teleport, rip people's hearts out. He's done a lot. He has done a lot, and a lot of it really doesn't make sense. And another ability that it has, which I definitely will not be added in game, is that at the cost of the user's life, I think it can grant another person immortality. So that's cool, but yeah, it's not really something you can implement. So I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't add that. But I would really, really, really like to see this fruit added. You know, you give it some generic moves, you give it a teleport anywhere in the room kind of move, that would be really good. You could give it a long range slash, that would be a good. Gamma knife, which pretty much allows you to cover your sword in lightning. So if you don't use a sword, just cover your fist, whatever. It's not that hard of a move to really implement. You could do one where you cut a piece out of the ground and throw it. You could obviously do a move where you just make the room. Now, the thing about this fruit that would be a little annoying is what its rarity would be and how you handle some of its things. Now, there's 2 ways you could handle this whole room thing. I guess 3 ways. You could have a devil fruit kit without the room, which wouldn't really make sense, because what are you going to do outside the room? I don't know. But they could have a devil fruit kit that's pretty much the moves that you do in the room, but without any of the effects. So like the big swing that could cut at a ridiculous range would just be a normal swing. Or, you know, trying to rip someone's heart out wouldn't rip their heart out, would just do damage, or things like that. It would just be super underpowered versions of the moves you would do in the room. Or they could make it so room is, you know, just a move that you have and you can't use any of your other rooms until you're in it, which sort of kind of is the only way I could see people doing it. I don't really see how you could handle this fruit without doing it like that. You know, the first option definitely works, but I don't think it would work well. But then again, wouldn't that fact impact the rarity of the fruit. Like if you had to be in the room to use its moves, and let's say that the room isn't like huge, like it's not island size, right? Obviously. So you wouldn't be able to use your move if somebody knocked you out of the room or tried to guard you, keeping you out of the room. It would be really, really, really annoying. And I think because of that, that fruit rarity would have to be knocked down to epic, maybe legendary, but legendary is honestly kind of a stretch. I feel like it would have to be an epic rarity fruit if they handled it like that. Now, in my opinion, how they should handle it is that you make a room every time you use a move. That way you don't really have to worry about the room, if that makes sense. So like, let's say you're going for a gamma knife, you would just make a small room, and then your player would do gamma knife, and then the room would immediately go away. So you wouldn't have to actually do the process of creating the move. Every move you do would make a room. There we go. So every time you popped a move, a room would be created, and as soon as that move was done, the room would go away. You don't got to worry about it, and it would just be very, very, very convenient. Now, how would that work for moves like, you know, teleporting around your room? I guess that your teleport would just have a short AoE, a short range, and that you would teleport, you know, within whatever room is created for that teleport. So it would be almost like a wind-up teleport that you would have to make the room first. Now, again, that kind of does take away from some of the mechanics. I feel like it would be very obvious when you're going for a move because a room would be created, but it's definitely a difficult thing to handle. However they'd want to do it, that's cool. But I think the second option is the best, being that you just create a room and play around it. Now, does that mean that the fruit would have to be epic? Not particularly, but I honestly think so, unless they make the moves really good. But balancing this fruit is definitely going to be a challenge, but I would still really love to see it. Anyway, I talked about Laws over for way too long. I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Peace.